In 2008, Barack Obama ran for the United States presidency, and shockingly, he won. With the famous slogan, "Yes, we can," many black youth and many people in America voted for the first time. I was one of those people voting at the tender age of 27. So at 27, I voted for the first time with the help of my mother, who pretty much made me go out and vote. And she told me what to vote. The whole entire Democratic ticket. And I have not voted Democrat ever since. Ever since I kind of understood what happened in the black communities, since they have been ran by Democratic policies, I've stayed away. So yes, shockingly, your boy in 2016 voted for the big red in Donald Trump. That don't mean I'm a sellout or I'm not pro-black or any of that. And I got an example of what I'm talking about today. There is this beautiful sister by the name of P Rae Easley who went to city council and talked about the migrant crisis. Now, there is going to be a situation that she's going to address. It's sad, but I want you to listen and figure out.
Good afternoon to the city of Chicago. I am P. Rae of the 37th Ward. Chicago Red is our organization. Because we started this session with a prayer, I want to start my comment with the scripture. 1 Timothy 5:8 says, "But if any provide not for his own, and specifically for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an infidel." So I want to talk to y'all today about not going to hell. In the 37th Ward, there was a family, the Jones family. Amarie Jones was standing in her family building that they've owned for 40 years doing a TikTok dance with her mother. A bullet came through the window, hit her in the neck. She fell to the ground in front of her mother and bled to death. A month ago, on the Chicago mugshot page, her mother was on that page. Her mother had on her daughter's Rest in Peace t-shirt. She washed it so many times that it was completely faded out. She was completely high, out of her mind, and the charge was possession. Now, the first $51 million that this council gave to the migrants came from the opioid settlement funds. I am here on behalf of the Jones family, on behalf of the 37th Ward, on behalf of Black Chicago, on behalf of the entire city, to ask you all to vote no and put that money back in the opioid settlement fund. We need that money in my neighborhood. We need that on my block. That woman should not be at Cook County Jail because she's grieving over a random act of violence that caused her to lose her child in front of her face, when the city of Chicago has millions upon millions upon millions of dollars to give to people who ain't paid a dime into the tax base. We've been in my building for 52 years. We're about to pay some more taxes. The Jones family has been in their building for 45 years, paying taxes every year on time. So I'm asking y'all to use our tax money for our people. We need it. We got people leaning. We got people rocking. We got overdosing. We got pass out lines. You live on the west side, Mayor Johnson. You know exactly what I'm talking about. We need the money for us. We need opioid treatment on the west side of Chicago. We are the headquarters of the cartel, and everybody in here knows it. They selling more drugs than the law can allow, and y'all giving money back to them because they traffic those people up here, so we paying them going and coming. Absolutely not. We pay too much. It costs too much money to live in this city. Help Wanda Jones. Help every other grieving mother who feels like she has to go get high to get over the loss of her child. This is a woman who lived in that house. She still sleeps in that living room where her daughter passed out and bled to death. So I'm asking y'all to say no, put these people on the back burner, and put the money back in the opioid fund. We need that money. Thank y'all.
So basically, you heard there was a young lady that lost her daughter and got on drugs because somebody shot through the windows. Basically, what Brandon Johnson wants to do with the migrant crisis, he wants to take $52 million out of the opioid fund and give it to the migrants. P. Rae Easley is trying to stop that. And if you listen to her words, she is speaking directly to the black community. But as you can see, what she has on red. Red means what? Republican. And she was just interviewed by Fox News. Let's check out the clip.
Black residents in Chicago outraged at Mayor Brandon Johnson over his proposal for an additional $70 million for the migrants. P. Rae Easley is one of those Chicago residents, and she joins me now. P. Rae, a petition to recall the mayor is now gaining some steam. I take it this is all about the migrants, right?
Correct. The mayor has decided that he wants to put the taxpayers and the voters on the back burners to give our money and resources to people who have not paid a dime into our tax base. And for that reason, he has to go. You
once interned for Barack Obama before his presidency.
Yes.
Now
Correct.
You're a pro-Trump conservative. Well, what changed?
I moved out of the country in 2016 to go into a self-imposed political exile to protest him because I could not get full-time work with Obamacare. The employer mandate stating that people had to give, or employers had to give health insurance if they had employers who worked more than 30 hours, prevented me from getting a full-time schedule. And so I said, forget this. I grabbed my 4-year-old and we moved to sunny Senegal until he was out of office.
You were in Senegal for a couple of years.
Yeah, I was there in 2010, and then I moved back in 2016, so that I could get around that entire process.
And when you came back and you saw Trump in operation, you liked what you saw?
I loved it. I actually had an opportunity to go to the White House with the Young Black Leadership Summit. And my goal for going there was actually to have a conversation with Dr. Ben Carson about federal housing mismanagement in the city of Chicago. And that turned into an invitation to the White House, and I literally got red-pilled by the President of the United States and brought that message right back to my people in my city.
Now, stop the show. I want to talk about what she said at that 1 minute and 50-second mark. I'm a Republican, but I'm bringing this back home to my people. Now, let me talk about those people who are Democrat or Republican. I love our people, no matter what you vote. And again, most of our folks are Democrats anyways, and most of us want the best for our community. But she's not like Candace Owens, all right? Candace Owens loves Donald Trump, and this lady loves Donald Trump. But you know what? This is not a sister out there putting black people down. She's not putting the black community down. She's not doing any of that. She's pretty much wanting to recall the mayor, like this guy.
Dan Bolan says he thinks Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson has lost his way, and a mechanism needs to exist that allows voters to recall him.
I'm not trying to attack the mayor personally. It's just about having good governance.
That's why Bolan has launched an initiative called Recall this fall, filing the necessary paperwork earlier this month to give Chicagoans the ability to recall their mayor. The first step will require 56,464 petition signatures to get on the fall ballot.
You have to make the mayor accountable. The mayor is accountable to all the voters of Chicago.
But at a news conference Wednesday, the sitting mayor lashed out at the idea of a recall.
What is disingenuous about this so-called development, it's some dude from the suburbs who's mad about the diversity and the formation in which we have put forward.
First of all, accused me of being from the suburbs yesterday, which I took as a personal insult because I've lived here 33 years. 33 years.
But let's get back to P. Rae Easley. I want to play the rest of the video talking about Donald Trump.
How do your family and friends feel about this? Not many black folks are gung-ho Trump supporters.
Well, now they are. Initially, when I started doing this in 2019, no, they were not happy at all. People were booing me and throwing tomatoes and turning their backs on me. We were doing Black Chicago for Trump during the 2020 campaign. So we were slapping Black for Trump bumper stickers on Biden signs all around the city. However, now that people can see how our relationship with Jim Crow Joe has kind of settled, they're starting to say, oh my God, P. Rae, you were trying to save us. We're so sorry. We should have listened to you. We're ready to go as well, because I affectionately call the President Trump, my Donnie. So they're like, P. Rae, we want him to be our Donnie too, and it's more than enough to share.
Oh, real fast here. In 2020, Trump got roughly 8% of the black vote. What proportion of the black vote do you think he'll get this year?
60, 65, 70. We are done with the last living Dixiecrat named Joseph Robinette Biden. We are moving on. They have been very disrespectful to us, and we deserve better as American citizens.
I predict that within 2 years you'll be running for office. Am I right?
Thank you, sir.
I knew it. P. Rae, thank you very much for joining us this morning. It was real good stuff, and we appreciate you. Come and see us again. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Now, let me just say this. I know a lot of African Americans are going to vote Republican or will be going towards that route in the future. I talked to my good brother Edward Steve out in Dalton, and I asked him on an interview concerning Tiffany Henyard, do you ever believe that Dalton will turn red? He said, not a chance. And I probably could agree to that for the time being. The thing is, I want African Americans to really think about voting red. Now, I am a person that is a registered Republican. But think about it in this sense. Donald Trump is not the savior of black people. We are the saviors of black people. We have to understand how policies work. And the more money you have, the more economies you have, the more spending you have as a group, the more you can leverage. If we just go to the Republican Party for our vote the same way that we did Democrats, eventually the Republicans will figure out that they don't have to give black folks anything for their vote, just like Democrats. Now, of course, this is something that must be considered. We must look at it as a community building effort. We can't just be switching colors from blue to red. You know, this ain't no gang member thing or gang banger thing. We got to look at all of our blacks as a community, as a place that we can intentionally do business, as a place where we can intentionally make things happen, even if it's tough doing so. And it will be tough. Working with the community is not easy, but we have to look at what these other groups are doing, such as the Jews, such as the Asians, such as the Arabs. How do they funnel things in their community to bring wealth for their people? They do it through business collaborations, businesses being started, a whole bunch of things that pretty much edify and uplift that community financially. That needs to be a concern of black Republicans. Before you go out there and just vote red because you're tired of the migrant crisis, well, what happens when the migrant crisis stops? What happens to your community? Are there going to be resources still available for your community? Are you going to have jobs? And unfortunately, the governments are not about giving you jobs. The governments don't help you start businesses. That's something that you have to do. That's something that's important for you to do. And that's a need that we have to address. We don't really have the entrepreneurs that can solve the problems in our communities because they're not either motivated to do so or they don't understand it. Every group who comes out of poverty has a group of people who want to become entrepreneurs to save that economy, who create wealth and opportunities for other people. If we don't address that, it's not going to make any difference what party you go to, because you're still going to be behind in black wealth, and you'll just go to the Republicans and then we'll still be behind. We have to start leveraging the fact that we need to work together. We have things that we must accomplish together. Nobody said it was going to be easy, but we just can't say, I'm going to the Republicans and voting red, because then we're going to belong to the Republicans as their footstool. And we don't want that. We should want power for ourselves. The other groups have power for themselves. If you want to call it the LGBTQ, if you want to call it the Jewish communities, certain Asian communities, if you want to call them the Arab communities or the white communities or whoever else, all of those communities I talked about want power. We have to also want power, but not just voting power. We have to have economical power. We have to have small business power. We have to have tax paying power. And those things are what will get you in the door that you want to stay in. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea D. Jackson. Back at it again. Another episode of Kingana. I'm out.